mean, this app is a waste of time for losers.
Well,
okay, fine. What's that?
I mean, I would say yes, but, not if you're using it and it's not using you,
That's true. I mean, the one thing that Clubhouse has made me a very patient person. And if it's not my girlfriend and her stupid fucking bullshit, nothing pisses me off anymore. People don't get to me anymore. And that's nice. It's like, oh, really? Is that how you think? Oh, you're retarded. Have you seen the Sydney Sweeney interview?
No.
No?
No.
Have you heard the news about it?
No.
You haven't heard even the news about it.
Mm-mm.
So you're just totally checked out? So that's it? You're done?
What are you talking about, bro? What is Sydney Sweeney the center of the fucking earth? What the fuck?
No, I'm just joking.
Fuck?
I posted a video in the chat that you might want to see. It's really the only video you need to see about the whole subject. It's all you need. I don't expect you to watch it, but it's a good video.
Well, Uncle Steve has never read Marcus Aurelius, but Marcus wrote that life is opinion and that the universe is transformation.
Oh, I found it. We could go back to his room. Uncle Steve is an idiot.
Well,
Uncle Steve is like an asshole. I mean, he's kind of like a jerk. I used to think Uncle Steve is funny, but Uncle Steve's kind of dumb.
Well, he's dumb in the sense that he gets angry. And if you can make somebody angry, you can make them your slave.
He's dumb in the sense that he doesn't understand what's wrong with his vocal intonation. Do you agree, John? Uncle Steve doesn't understand how pretentious and pedantic and condescending and arrogant and full of himself he sounds when he talks this way. Wouldn't you agree, John?
I agree. And he told me one time that I am the biggest waste of talent he's ever seen. And I said to Scott, I was like, was that a projection? Like, he's talking about himself here, dude, because he thinks he's got all this talent and it's not going to, good use. But listen, all communication is projection. And, you just got to be careful what you say about people because it ends up becoming a projection. And, that's life. I mean, you can't win with insults. You just can't. And it's not even about winning. It's about...
I've got a joint break.
You're wasting it. You're going to start recording all these quotes and sayings and throwing those into YouTube. Going to start recording all these quotes and sayings and throwing those into YouTube. Maybe one at a time or just, 60 seconds or 3 minutes. But I'm going to start doing a YouTube ASMR. YouTube, quotation videos. It's not those books. Wow.
How is that copyrighted?
He's like trying to be so pure and austere where if it's not original or you didn't create the intelligence, you're basically stealing from somebody. And I was like, oh, you mean like reading a book? It's just this, everybody wants to be a hater. That's life. Welcome to life.
Do you drive? You have a car, right? Yes, of course. But
yeah.
When you're going to make a left, you got to yield to the oncoming?
Yeah.
But sometimes people in the oncoming lane will just stop and wave you in, be like, you can go.
Yeah.
And if you don't go, even though they waved you in, if you're like, no thanks, I'll just wait my turn, thanks. Have you ever done that?
No,
They lose their minds.
Go to the gym and I make a left into the parking lot. People creep. Go to the gym and I make a left into the parking lot. People creep out to take a left. And I have to loop around them and they're looking at me like, what the fuck? I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you can't creep out, bro. You can't creep out. And I got the right of way here. So like, don't look at me like I'm doing something wrong here. You're the one creeping out into traffic.
Very much. Very much.
They know they're in the wrong, and you just look at them. You don't say anything. You don't make any gestures. You just look at them, and you drive by like, "Hello, I am driving correctly."
I am correct. You are wrong.
Yeah. Anytime, can you imagine getting robbed, and then you get angry and you insult the robber, so the robber decides to kill you?
But I imagine if I was like calling the robber the N-word, he might have just lost his patience with me and killed me.
Well, I worked at this like assembly warehouse after I got out of the Army for Avon. I was a shift supervisor. And this woman, Molly, she says, John, I want you to fire that person right over there. His name is Cornelius or whatever the fuck his name was, black kid. And so I said, okay. So I walk up to him, I say, can you come over here? I need to speak, not working hard enough. And so we, for an hour, dude, we ran this kid through a script and he said, I'm sorry. I'm going to work 10 times as hard. And I apologize, for not wearing the gloves and looking at my cell phone and all this shit. So I said, don't say anything else. Just ask for forgiveness and say you're sorry and just say what we told you to say. And so we go in the office and she's like, John, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you bringing him in my office? I told you to fire him. He's done. He's got to leave the hour, bro.
You were trying to save him?
We're trying to save him and his job. Trying to save his fucking job, dude. And the guy
trying to help him out.
Guy fucking just he turned his back on us. The people who I was taking on,
she might have turned to you and been like, John,
you're fired too.
You're fired too, you dumb fuck.
Exactly.
I fucking told you to fire this guy, you idiot. You got hoodwinked by him. You fell for it, you moron.
Dude. I didn't really care. I didn't really care to begin with. And fuck you too. And you're like, oh, fuck me. Okay, fuck you. Bye. Anyway, Steve Appel, this is his, silver radio mic moment. A lot of people have always wanted to be that DJ, and it's like people have spent so much time listening to podcasts now. They're like, I'm doing that. This is my moment to try to do this. I mean, this is projection, but anyways, I'm
sure that's part of it.
Part of it.
But it's not a podcast. It's a never-ending stream of retardation. It's different from a podcast.
Well, that's why I mix books into all this, because I recognize how brain rot is now created, which is what I call conversational hypnosis. All communication is hypnosis. So if you're just having regular conversations like the way we're having, what we're really doing is having a low grade information exchange. And what people are saying isn't intelligent to begin with. So you just have stupid, hypnosis exchange. That's what it is. And and this is the other thing, is people are subconsciously looking to get laid. People do peacock here. So that's the other thing. There's just many, it's normal life, basically, right? It's just people being who they are. And that's it.
It's funny that the opposite of peacock is actually cockpea.
Well, somebody in the YouTube chat just wrote bald.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Somebody else wrote, can I have a mod?
Mole on my face, and they always say, nice mole. And from the Austin Powers, there's always mole, 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 mole. And then I'll post a video.
So Cora wrote that Norm is a paid shill I wrote, your opinion is whack. And they have been going on it for quite a minute now here. Damn. Yeah, Norm appears to be a paid shill. Cora, your opinion is whack. No, it's not. Blackwater tried to hire me to do the same sort of work around Frack to be a paid shill. You're kidding, right? Nope. And no, I don't get paid for showing you that the Emperor has no clothes. You have no clothes, Norm. Cora, your mind seems to reflect that you are yourself an unenthusiastic shill. Norm, I'm autistic. My speech is flat naturally. She's so stupid, so full of shit. But you can retreat to your ableism if you're feeling threatened. Aren't you actually paid to repeat your monotone pop psychology virtue signaling mishmash week after week? I don't believe in your ableism. It's a weak religion.
So actually, Cora is a shill. That's what you're saying?
Damn,
Cora turns out is the shill?
Damn, you're right. I didn't catch that projection.
That's like if Uncle Steve attacked you and he was like, John, you don't even make any money for your stupid time on Clubhouse.
See, he's upset.
And it's like, Steve, you don't make any money for your time on Clubhouse, do you? Does Steve make money?
So I told Steve, because he basically had like a man cave Spotify articles about how they're, expanding into pie. And so, I told him maybe we could sell your show. And obviously that never materialized because it's nobody's going to buy shit. And so he says like I'm a liar and that I fed him a bunch of lies. It's just this really annoying Chinese woman. Listen to her voice.
All right, and appreciate that. We're going to give you a first-class escort to the VIP. If I have one last wish for everybody that's within the sound of my voice, it's that as you travel these Clubhouse streets, when you speak and when you listen to other people, do your best to distinguish fact from opinion. You heard me speak earlier to the candidate. How I was saying, he specifically asked, when it comes to atheists, what do you value most in your communications? I specifically said I only speak for myself, but I value that I am sincere, consistent, and speak the truth. What is the truth? Well, when I give my opinion, it is not only my opinion, but is a consistent opinion, and I identify it as such. When I identify it as a fact, that means it should not be disputed. Otherwise, it's not a fact. That being said, let's say hello to Leroy. Leroy, good morning. Welcome back. Welcome back to the show. You have a fresh five. Good morning.
Good morning, Steve. Thank you. I am truly grateful that I moved to New York City in 1977. And
they're going on about Johnny. So what? You're driving to the driver's driving course?
10.
Well,
I'm about to try my first ever Zin.
What is that? The chewing tobacco from what's his face?
No, it is a tobacco pouch. It is a pouch of tobacco that you don't chew, and apparently there's no spitting involved. And I did recently find one of these weed pouches that I was at a weed store, and they have like a
program and an education you have to ingrain into your consciousness. And I do have these hypnosis records, and so prior to the hypnosis, you state your goal. After the hypnosis, you state your goal. And there's other things tied to it. It's not the priority. Your priority is the health and other things you're doing, not the smoking. So this gay guy that I know, I was like, well, why don't you try hypnosis? He smokes cigarettes. And he's like, that doesn't work. I was like, well, if you're sitting there listening to a hypnosis record for an hour, guess what? You're not smoking. So, until you actually show me that you're doing communication work with regards to not smoking, as opposed to coming on here and smoking, Like then I won't. Then I'll know you're actually going somewhere. Otherwise, all you're doing is smoking weed and telling me. Basically, the dialectic.
Right.
You have to control the dialectic in order to control your behavior.
I think you're right.
It's not necessarily that I'm right. It's a theory, but in theory and practice are two different things. The big part of the alchemical process is the doing. It's the action that precedes or follows the words. So try it. Prove it to me.
These things suck.
Prove it to me. Show me on this app. Open a room called reading a book to prevent myself from smoking. Then I will know you're putting your mouth where your intention is.
Right.
Don't quote McZed. That's what McZed says all the time. Right.
That's the McZed. That's the McZed right.
Coming down to the end, 13 minutes left. Don't invite anybody else up. Let's go to the candidate. And by the way, the candidate is a perfect example of how I am consistent and run the show. I've said it a gazillion times. I don't care if I like you. I don't care if I don't.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. I think all of us on this app, consistently repattern ourselves into this app and all these relationships and communications exchanges we have. And I just want to read, for 60 seconds, some quotations from a book.
Yes, and by the way, I've been consistent about this. Anybody is entitled to read for 60 seconds, and then if it takes more than that, you can read for 60 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay, if you're given a choice between money and sex appeal, take the money. As you get older, the money will become your sex appeal. Nothing is more difficult and therefore more precious than to be able to decide. It is easier to find men who will volunteer to die than to find those who are willing to endure pain with patience. Errors of haste are seldom committed singly. The first time a man always does too much, and precisely on that account he commits a second error, and then he does too little. It isn't enough to talk about peace. One must believe in it, and it isn't enough to believe in it. One must work at it. Humility is no substitute for a good personality. What I don't like about office Christmas parties is looking for a job the next day. That's Phyllis Diller. America is an enormous frosted cupcake in the middle of millions of starving people. Gloria Steinem. A long habit of not thinking a thing wrong gives it a superficial appearance of being right. Thomas Paine. He that fights and runs away may turn and fight another day, but he that is in battle slain will never raise to fight again. That's Tacitus. So, we have 30 to 60 seconds to exchange information with each other. And I, just like reading books, because if I am in charge of my communication management, I just want high value intelligence, and therefore it becomes a book club, usually sacred spiritual texts which deal with the self, which is really personal development and self-development and self-analysis or self-actualization. I like to consider myself as a self-actualization comedian or a self-actualization politician. And all I'm trying to say is that stillness, silence, peace, joy can be held and had by all, but you have to choose to. No one can touch, taste, feel, or smell unless you think everything is an extension of the God. The all, this phone, this conversation, the coffee in my mouth. It's, there's a Yiddish expression, alles ist Gott. All is God. And so if, as an atheist, you deny that sentiment that all is God, I don't know what ground you have to stand on. You call yourself a moral superior, you have moral superiority and just social justice virtue signaling on a and books or poetry is a great way to experience your great journey. Thank you. I'm complete.
I'm going to follow that up. Normally I would drop you as anybody else to the audience, but I'm going to follow that up with a couple of questions. Have you ever heard me once say today or at any time since you've known me, which has been a couple of years on Clubhouse, that I am morally superior to anybody? Have you ever heard me say that once?
I wasn't addressing you specifically. I was talking generally.
You addressed atheists. I'm an atheist. Have you? I assume that's a no, because I can tell you all, I have never once said I am morally superior to anybody. Now,
Uncle Steve, I'm
Yes.
pretty sure you're morally superior to me.
Well, other people have said that. I have not said
I
that.
know you, so I'm comfortable saying that.
Okay. Number two, since I've known you, I have blocked about 18 of your different accounts because I only want to deal with one. I don't know how putting together at least 18 different profiles does that. And last but not least, I've heard you say since I've known you over 100 times that all, quote, all communication is hypnosis, close quote. Let me repeat that. Since I've known you, I've heard you say over 100 times, and I have the receipts, all communication is hypnosis, close quote. So here's my last question for you to answer intelligently, hopefully. If indeed all communication is hypnosis, are you using hypnosis to try and get people to vote for you?
Well, if I believe that all communication is hypnosis, and I believe that I'm exchanging high value information or intelligence with voters, well, then hopefully they'll vote with me because they respect and appreciate my truthful intelligence that I'm trying to share with them. But Steve, I've had 100 Clubhouse accounts because I record everything I do here and put it on multiple platforms, much to the dismay of many other users who end up getting recorded and resent the fact that I record myself or use my cell phones in the way that I choose to use my cell phones. It may be a little eccentric, but nonetheless, this is an art project that I have chosen to pursue in a room. But it's your show, and I respect that. And the thing is, what I said about the book club and about enlightenment or meditation, I'm just a broken record repeating myself on this app, as well as everyone else. We're just repeating a pattern. And that's all I really have to say, and I hope everybody has a great day.
First class escort to the VIP, quote, I'm just, have you spoken yet?
No, I have not.
You know what? We're going to go OT. Andrew, I'm going to give you a fresh five, my friend and neighbor.
And I think maybe you might want to consider changing your form of government from the Republican format, which you have now, that your founding fathers passed on to you, to more of the Westminster-style parliamentary system that we have here in Canada and the United Kingdom here. Because we've, and I'll give you an example. It's recent too. Justin Trudeau was our prime minister not more than 9 months ago. The Carney government would put out a budget. They didn't. They just did.
I got permissions to use my cell phones.
18 months. But things don't.
And it doesn't matter what party we vote for an individual.
Yeah, so do I.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I have a constituency here, and there's 3, 4, 5, 6 candidates running. I vote for one of those candidates. If they're a conservative and I'm not a conservative, I'm not going to vote for the conservative candidate unless he's got some really, really strong local policies that are going to affect me here personally. But I mean, and then those are political, calculations that people make every day during an election, who they're going to vote for. So no, we vote for an individual, and that party then, if he's a conservative, he takes that to the House of Commons and sits as a conservative with the rest of them. But so we don't shut down. We just had a budget that was tabled, and it slightly passed because I don't think anybody wants to go to an election right now. We just had one. So there's a political calculation that people are making. In terms of non-Danny, I think this is really, I mean, it's going to be a disrupting force. But I think it's probably a force for good because the affordability crisis, we have it here too. We have it in most places, I think, around the world. You look, at least in the Western world, there's an affordability crisis. And things are out of reach. They're not just like, you got to work hard to get them. They're out of reach for most people, especially the young. they don't. I mean, they're walking into a situation that their parents didn't and their grandparents didn't walk into. They had a chance. I think the chances are very, very slim now for most young people. And so what alternative do you have? This is a repudiation of unbridled capitalism with a 1% totally filthy rich and the rest of us struggling to scrape by. And as long as that continues, you're going to eventually, and I told this to my sister many, many, many years ago. I said, there's a revolution coming. I don't know when, I don't know how it'll be, but I think we're seeing some of that now. There's a revolution against this oligarchy, whatever you want to call it, where people have just such enormous sick wealth, and the rest of us are just struggling. And my final word is, I had a great experience last night, tremendously nervous. My football team was in the Western Final to go to the Grey Cup. They were down by 7 points with 63 seconds left, and with 14 seconds left, they scored a touchdown, taking them into the lead, and they are now going to the Grey Cup. So I'm very happy about that. I had to have a beer right after that, which was late, but that was okay. So thank you very much, Uncle Steve. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you on the Clubhouse streets. Oh, and the other thing, on Clubhouse, just curate your friends. They're really bizarre and way out there, and, keep your distance.
Thank you very much.
Can I just say one thing to Andrew?
Yeah.
I think his criticisms of our former government are really helpful. I think that without even going full Westminster parliamentary in nature, if we just got rid of the filibuster this week, right? I mean, you wouldn't be able to hold things hostage like this. This is a simple procedural rule that we could get rid of, and that would go a long way to make the government better. And you know what? I would take, as a Democrat, a loss on this healthcare subsidy if you could get rid of it. Long term, I think that would be.
And before we move on, I'm on ChatGPT, and again, ChatGPT is not always 100% correct, but let me take 60 seconds to read to you what's on ChatGPT, so take it for what it's worth. Quote, in Canada, you do not vote directly for the Prime Minister. Here's how it works. Voters cast a ballot for a local candidate in their federal electoral district, and then it says, in parenthesis, writing, that candidate may represent a political party or may run as an independent. The party that wins the most seats is invited by the Governor General of Canada, the Crown's representative, to become Prime Minister. Is indirectly based on which party gets the most seats, who leads that party. Again, I would never disagree with Andrew. Andrew comes on, he's a friend of the show, a neighbor to the north. He clearly knows a hell of a lot more about Canada and the politics than I do. I'm just repeating what ChatGPT said. Take it for what it's worth. Let's go to David. David, would you like to say goodbye?
Well, I just wanted to, while I was listening and hanging out, I was going through my New York Times Sunday edition today, and there was an advertisement taken out on page 16 by the general manager of strategic think tank in Amman, Jordan, a gentleman by the name of Azam Salim Jamor, and he's calling out the White House for hosting the president of Syria tomorrow, where billions of dollars in rebuilding contracts are going to be probably entered into. He frames this gentleman as this new president that Trump, basically has embraced as being on par with Bin Laden.
Hopefully when he's in the White House, he doesn't pass out on the White House floor like that other person from the medical industry did a couple of days ago. But please continue.
Well, no, I'm pointing out this advertisement because, we're attacking Mondami pretty severely, and yet, he's an American. He was schooled here. He's now been elected to arguably one of the most important cities in the world. And, we're creating common cause and giving, he was on the terrorist list as of July of this year. So anyway, I think if we can give this guy some grace and say, hey, we can help rebuild your nation, and you're not going to turn your guns on us or the state of Israel and our friends, I don't think Mandami rises to the level of what this guy was and what he represented as an enemy of us, and the terrorists told he exacted running the show over there. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. I don't know if that out of the room or not out of the room, but. And then also recall the business dealings that Trump entered into with Qatar.
I'm going to give you 30 seconds because
I'm right here. But yeah. So anyway, I'm just saying that we, just because one might have a certain religious persuasion, does not necessarily mean that you're going to, met out the stereotypes that oftentimes are assigned to you, or. Let's just see what happens. So I'll end there.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we are rushed for time. Norm, I can give you 60 seconds tops if you want to say goodbye.
Very well. As with the previous speaker, anybody who doesn't know how much a subway ride is not a New Yorker, it's $2.90. And if you're handicapped or need money, you can go for half. That's $1.45. That's a pretty good deal in rent-stabilized apartments. Regular people don't get rent-stabilized apartments. They're a precious commodity. That's 25% of the housing stock. New York has already started to be dirty, dangerous, and broken as it has been in the past. I've lived through it. I know how to survive under those circumstances. What happens is poor people die. That's what happens. Poor people, black and brown people, die and are burglarized because the law isn't enforced. Go look at some of the old movies, like The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Pelham 1, 2, 3, yes.
Or Fort Apache, the Bronx. People had 15 locks. I'm not exaggerating. 15 series of locks on their door, plus bars and stuff against the door, because people would just burst into their apartments and kill them, as happened to a friend of mine. Most people in New York had been victims of crime around the time when the other Democratic socialist who was trying to run the city.
I also like to.
Hey, what's up, Dad?
I just had my night.
What was that? Sorry.
Snowstorm?
Yeah, I saw some flakes floating out. I got 2 more ACs I got to pop out.
Oh, really? I'm looking out my living room window into the patio, and then I'm seeing palm trees and water.
Oh, joy.
Oh, joy. It's rough out here. Anyway. So everything else okay?
Yeah, all's well. Samantha just texted me. She said Mom's plane took off. And, yeah.
Okay, so you're a free man again now.
Yeah, I'm free. I guess she slipped in, got her stuff, and, I told her to just leave the key downstairs, and, I'm sure.
She taking Uber to the airport?
No, Marty took her.
Oh, Marty took her. Oh.
Yeah. She has a tendency to Irish goodbye me.
What is that?
You don't say goodbye, you just leave.
She just left without saying goodbye?
I mean, pretty much, but I mean, as I was taking her to Marty's house, we got into an argument, or she was, yelling at me. I was yelling at her, and I was just like, nothing. She just won't shut up. She just has, compulsive thinking. Every single second, it's just one more word after the next. And I was just like, I need to take a break from you. Like, it's neurolinguistic overload in my brain. Can't deal with all the noise, And I was like, you got no idea how you sound. That little body makes quite a screech. So I think I'm sure she took it personally, but like, that's the truth. I need some peace and quiet, and she doesn't bring any peace and quiet. You're just like your father.
Did she say that?
Yeah. I should have raised you better. I should have never left you. There was so much more I needed to teach you.
Oh, jeez.
Did you ask her what that was?
I don't know. Apparently, you can fight over every, we're trying to get the pizza. Yeah, I want some garlic. I'd like, onion and giardiniera. And I'm not paying for all that. And then when the bill comes out, she said, "You're paying for that, right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm paying for it. Here we go." It's just like, she's she's good. I mean, yikes. Like, it's just too much. She's, wow.
I remember once we were, I think it's even before you were born. I don't know if I told you the story or not, but we were, I think, coming back from we went to this place in Wisconsin. I like to go for dinner. And, I left a tip, and I noticed she was kind of angry in the car. And I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "You left too much money for tip." I said, "Really?" I said, how much over did I leave for a tip?" And she said, "At least $1." I said, $1? I said, "You're upset over $1. Here's what I think of $1. And I reached in my pocket while I'm driving, I opened the window. I said, "Here's $1," and I threw it out the window. And I said, "Here's another $1," and I threw it. Oh my gosh, that caused a problem. It was, she went berserk. It's over $1. You're upset over $1.
I really wish she was like, a yogi, or she needs to relax. And I gave her a book called Calm, and it's all these passages about how to be calm. I think she threw the book back at me.
Does she have anybody in her life? Does she have a boyfriend? Anything? Anything?
She's got neighbors.
She has neighbors, but she's kind of like a loner.
Well, it's, I don't understand it. I mean, if you read enough books on wisdom and philosophy and God, you find some peace, and you make peace with everything. And she's just in constant conflict with everything and anything. And
is she still friendly with her sisters?
No, she doesn't talk to Nate. She only talks to maybe one or two of them. But Nancy is a no-go zone. And, a lot of this is just, it's because of all the emotions that are generated. And, unfortunately, she likes to put the blame on everybody except herself. And maybe that's projection, but, I mean, there's a point where you just need peace. And that peace can only come from not communicating or having silence. Because you can't bring up all the old stories and all the past dramas. Like, you got to be in the present moment, and if that means just being quiet, that would be great.
Yeah, she's tough. She's a tough person to be around. I even as I remember, it's been so. It's funny when you've been divorced a long time, John. It's like that person never really existed. You wonder, it's like a dream. I can't even imagine myself, in those years. So time goes by.
Well, I'm her son, and I get the feeling she wants to use me as a companion. And
oh, really?
Yeah, meaning that like
I thought she was more in tune with Samantha than anybody, really.
Well, Samantha has, her relationship. I have my relationship, but the thing is, it's like, I can't force anybody to be anything. All I can do is try to control my environment. And if that means, shutting the door and saying, I'll call you, don't call me, but here's a key. Like, I need some alone time. I mean, the thing is, she can't sit still. And next thing I know, she's done this and she's done that. And now she's left me with more work that I wouldn't have done, unless she showed up and decided to pop those tiles out of the wall. Oh, thanks. Things like that, where she just pulls out a butter knife, and starts carving away. And you're like, what the F are you doing? I didn't ask you to do this. Can you sit still on your hands? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I guess she has to be doing something. Yeah.
She needs, well, fun might cost $5. She said, your steaks here are cheaper than in Albuquerque. They're only $13 here. I was like, so you admit? I was like, because, I was like, so you admit? I was like, because, oh, you should have heard all this, as if like you haven't let it go. And boy, did she just have a real, sour grape in her, and her emotionally, like a migraine. It's crazy.
Did she purposely bring up all this stuff when you were out of the blue?
Yeah, we drove, from Springfield back to Chicago, and she can't stop using her hands, and she keeps flinging her hands in front of my face while I'm driving. And I said, stop putting your hands in front of my face while I'm driving. Just sit on your hands if you have to. You don't have to have a conversation with your hands. And she couldn't stop. And eventually I had to give up because she has to talk with her hands. And I was just like, it was 4 hours of her yapping, and it was intense. I mean, woof.
She doesn't sound too happy, I guess. But, it's something everybody has to, if she's unhappy, it's really up to her. And
she's not unhappy. Nobody's unhappy in their own little bubble. The challenge is, how do you go into other people's bubbles, remain happy, and also support that person and not cause them anxiety? That's the challenge. And she can't do that because, honestly, she's rather immature, somewhat petty and childish. She devolves into a little baby Jane, and she's angry at everybody, and she thinks, oof,
to me,
yikes.
She sounds like she's more not turning into baby. She's turning into Chucky.
Chucky?
Yeah, the doll.
The doll. There's this waitress at Paterno with me, but it's still very superficial because she is just a big butch bitch, and but man, you should have seen what Mom said to her, and she literally, it takes me 72 hours after an interaction with her to finally, purge the spring inside of me.
I do.
Yeah. That's the thing, is I feel bad that we can't have, peace and enjoyment with each other. It's just a fight from start to finish. Well, I've had enough Airbnb guests to know that out of sight, out of mind. But for her, that's like disrespectful and mean, and she's doing all this work for me, and I'm like, well, I didn't want you to do the work. I didn't ask you to do the work, and pocket and stripped out all my shitty caulk. She really did a top-notch job, but boy, was she pissed when she did it. Holy shit. I mean, as I was eating my birthday dinner, the thought did pass my mind that she could have poisoned the food. I'm not kidding you. That thought really did actually go through my mind, and I'm like thinking to myself, stop thinking, just stop thinking.
Yeah, that occurred to me many times too. That's why I was thinking of hiring a food taster.
All right. Well, have a great day. Good chat with you.
Be careful. Don't slip and fall.
That's the truth. That's not opinions. Those are facts, right? Everything is an opinion. Okay, this is the John Kitover Candidate Congressman podcast.
People that treat like SIRS, systemic inflammation, which is, the driver of our body, do all of these different things, and we can only measure a few of them to measure function. And so the, mast cell activation dysfunction or syndrome is a big deal. And just even in our own basophils and that's a big deal. And just even in our own basophils and mast cells, which are types of white-related illness, molds didn't evolve to live inside wet walls of buildings, and so now we have sick buildings, and it stabilizes biologic systems. So I think that would just be another narrative meta-analysis of what is actually going on with chemical versus plant or fungi or tree or whatever animal or
it's look at her that broad. Here's PTR you got.
James,
Turned everything down now. Now you can't hear me. Maybe so. Right. What I did wrong there. Hold on.
Hey Daniel, I just wanted to say that was an incredibly electrifyingly lucid discussion on the entourage effect and why we want the whole plant, generally speaking. I think we should go back and write that one down and put other words around it to show people it's important.
And I have a question for you, particularly Jordan, that I've been wanting to tell you, that in terms of your book and your process,
I would just think that if I was going to be microdosing ibogaine, which is something I'd be open to exploring at some point in the future, I would want it to be from an extract of the whole substance and not a very tiny amount of ibogaine.
I am not. I'm drenched in the flood, which is yet to come. I'm tied up in the prison, which has yet to exist.
How about you, Wendy? Anything else? Well, everyone's on mute in a rare moment of silence. James. Oh, James is gone again. James, you're in and out, dude.
The conversation's interesting. After I finish up my synthetic mescaline protocol development, I'm actually working on an iboga microdose protocol. So this is good for me to learn about. I personally believe that that period that extends outward is longer. So like the second day effect, as James calls it, will probably be more on the third day. So from most of them do it like every few days, every 3 days, and because they don't feel the need to do it every day. And
you don't need to kick the potter's wheel as often. The processes are already all going. Well, that was really interesting also about the non-competitive binder. I want to read up more on that.
Yeah.
From my microdosing with Amanita, I always find it seems just longer than most of the other ones that I work with. And I feel like it's that same type concept when you're in that particular.
And to capture information, so glutamate and choline are responsible for, are indicative of your attention. You increase glutamine and acetylcholine. If there's more emotional content, it'll be more. It will increase the acetylcholine. And I forget. Wait, I don't remember. I don't want to say this off the top of my head, but there's two receptors that are on iboga that increase both glutamate and acetylcholine. I just don't remember which one, but I know the opioid plays a part in that as well. So anytime you tickle the opioid opioid receptors, you're increasing. Do you remember, Daniel, if it's glutamate or acetylcholine? Or does anyone know?
Oh, Wendy, neurochemistry to me. I love it.
Sounds like a magical moment for AI. Right, that's a good AI comp. And I know you get this is a fascinating conversation. I think bringing that to the table would be great. And I think we're going to be talking about Iboga and Ibogaine. I'm very happy that she. Michael James up on top, hanging out in the and I just want to say we're here every single Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, and I hope you got.
Thank you, James.
Damn, bro, can't put on a show.
Here's me what people who are like 7 to 12 who grew up under COVID, what level of authoritarianism they will think is